We are the friends, but we are not separate from you. It is not solely us who are the friends. It is we, together. As we have always been. As we shall always be. Our influence, think of it as a guiding hand. We use no force other than to nurture your curiosities, your intrigue to be sparked, to keep you fresh, refreshed, and wanting to know more. This wave shall never crash upon any shore. It is endless. We will keep you from destroying yourselves. This is the only exception to our non-interference in your lives. You will not be allowed to physically destroy your planet, for it is not solely yours. The elements that are used in the physical makeup of your world all vibrate at different frequencies. It is how you have music. Your instruments are made of the elements. And by either blowing your air into them or creating vibration as in the bow of a violin, or the impact of your fingernail upon the strings of a guitar, you are releasing vibration and sound from the elements by infusing and transmitting your frequency of your emotions. In the inspiration of creating music, you transmit that vibration from your feeling, etheric body, through your hands, into the instrument, which interacts synergistically to create and to deliver, amplify, and articulate your creative expression into music. This is the music of the spheres, as Johannes Kepler taught, and others were aware of, such as Copernicus, and others were countless in number, but one in spirit. You are the makers of us, and we are the makers of you. To make means to surrender to that which already is. Do you understand? The work of art already exists. What you call making is surrendering to the process. Isn't that how birth happens? The soul is eternal. The creature, the animal, the human surrenders to the desire which is innate. And the functionality of the bodies to procreate. All of this is a surrender. Nothing is made in the way that you use the word. You are very concerned with the hurdles you face in making, when in essence, it is more of a surrender. As you have been studying with your other friends, you have heard it said that communication is key to a relationship. expand upon that with the self. To learn, one must receive communication, whether it is through others or yourself. Turn your gaze inward to the cosmos within you. Feel the stars moving, expanding around you, within you. You do this by becoming very gentle with yourself. Very gentle, vulnerable, soft. We are now entering into a state of more perfection in our communication with you. The channel systems have organized, and your own as well. You are now more ready to receive what we have come to tell you. One might say that the galaxies are palaces of light. Bring yourself there, we shall bring you, and show you now. Some, in their explorations or teachings, belittle the planetary system that you have made your current home. There are those who say it is a prison planet. There are those who believe it is in a meaningless section of the physical universe, that it is primitive, evident by its conflict within the selves of the people and between the people and their environment, and by these evidences they declare this planet to be unevolved. And yet evolution does not end. There is a never-ending evolution. Things can evolve, but they are never fully evolved. You will know what you need to know when you need to know it. There is peace in that. We are open to suggestions or questions from you throughout this conversation, communion, and we will let you know when it is appropriate this evening. The transport that you see and have heard, read of, the ships that you are aware of, are real. They are not figments of your imagination, though there are half-truths that are spoken of and revealed to you by those on the planet who have had more earthly interaction. Do not be afraid to know that you are being visited by many. As there are nations upon the earth, there are nations within the universe. We are speaking, of course, of the physical universe. These nations have a history as the nations of your planet, with each other, alliances and non-alliances, which have, to some degree, shifted over time. There are those who see other planets as lower than them. Some see them as farms, some as a marketplace, some as an archaeological relic, an experiment, and their interactions are based upon that very firm belief. They believe they can take what they wish, whom they wish, and many have been taken and never returned, and many were harmed, and many were not. Many were given a choice. Some chose to leave the planet physically. As you expand your understanding, this will make a certain type of logical sense for you to see farms and animals, or bugs, or plants, as different forms of life, though they have their own kingdoms, don't they? But as living, sentient beings, with a very different structure physically having a very different type of brain. Simply put, the being kingdom, not the plant, nor the animal, nor the etheric. You are human beings. And there are other beings. We feel it is appropriate to share information that we have agreed to share with you. Not more, nor less than that which you are wanting to know. We are here to answer you. Whether you wish to receive information on the nature of physical reality, or perhaps its relation to the currently perceived metaphysical realm, you may now ask your questions.
I have a question. If I choose to create a supernatural event, like making this selenite glow, what is it that prevents me from doing it here, in this physical reality?
Firstly, as you perhaps explore the reason of why you would want to, you may not know the answer in totality, but it would serve you to ask yourself why.
It would help me feel closer to God.
And you are sure of this?
No, because I know I'm God, but I feel like it would somehow bridge a physical and non-physical gap, bringing worlds together where I can materialize and dematerialize things.
Some have achieved this, and that is all that they were able to achieve. There is also the matter of your current physical perception of whether there is a glow appearing or not. Remember that these forms, called crystals, many communicate to their families. The crystal you hold, though physically separate from the larger crystal from which it was removed and shaped, is still in direct communication with it. It is not an individual object. There are many effects of your energy that are sent into many objects. This earth, in its current period of evolution, is not about these particular abilities. This earth is an emotional school. You are tasked with making yourselves and others glow. Perhaps that would be a greater proof of godliness within the self and all as well.
Were you the group that came through with the Italian documentary?
Yes.
And so there was many metaphysical experiences that they had. Is that something that you regularly do in group dynamics?
No. The gentleman, and there were several more than were shown in your film, who were a part of that experiment by using terminology in your language, members of our collective who chose, in agreement with others, to interact with those young men. And there have been others. You see, though you might find it frustrating that these stories that reach your ears and your eyes can or cannot be proven according to the standards amongst you, the communication ongoing with them was very specific. Those who were not seeking seem to have these encounters more often than those who are seeking. You cannot let go of that innate desire within you. You see, you seek because you are aware of your cosmic selves. They were not. You already know somewhere within you of the extraterrestrial reality, the extra-dimensional reality in your cases. There have been many experiments with different factions of your society, different individuals, and as you have evolved further, we also have.
I was going to ask if I could be a part of a transmission sharing messages in the future.
We are available. It is your connection to learn and navigate.
We feel there are many ships that surround the house from the horizon of the ocean that twinkle different colors, and we are wondering if those are actual ships. They're permanently stationed there.
Not permanently.
And are those ships...
Some.
Are they stationed there for a purpose? Are they...
As there are
known to us,
gods stationed in the way you conduct yourselves, similarly, there are points of research, observation, and environmental healing that we are activating. Not all the ships that you see are friendly. Again, while there is technology far beyond what your public knows, that is operated by your own government, they pale in comparison to the other visitors.
Does your group come from many different destinations within the galaxies, or is it concentrated in one area?
Points within the galaxy. You are in a particular galaxy that you have designated to be a galaxy. And from your perspectives, we understand why you call it that. And by your understanding, we are similar to your United Nations, though perhaps quite a bit more united than they. They are united for their own individual purposes and protection. We are united to serve each other.
In the case of the Italian documentary, a few people from your civilization took the form of humans. Does that happen often?
We use the language, my friend, but many of us are in similar forms as you. It is not simply taking the form of. For some, it is their primary form. Physically, those that we are one with, in the way you see oneness, as we are using this word, term, name, the friends. We do not appear physically in a similar way. There is individuality. And so, some, you might call them hybrid, what you refer to as alien and human offspring, of which there are millions or more.
How would we know if we are hybrids from where you're speaking from?
We understand your question to refer to whether you yourselves are hybrids in this physical form or you are descended from hybrids.
I felt my dad was a hybrid because the way his eyes blinked didn't look like everyone else's. Is that just my imagination?
In reference to that particular quality, which there are many, in many instances, it is because a part of the consciousness is psychically connected to us. And so, the physical blinking of the eye would be the deep etheric consciousness recognizing itself, or more simply put, reacting to a signal that is not exactly clear. So, it is like the signal of a television or a radio or your cellular devices when you have your voice coming in and out of the other caller. There is a blip or a flash, a sound for a moment and then silence or static, yes? By that same understanding, a person may have a particular look in their eye, or coming in and out of this present moment, as you call it. Do you understand?
Yes. What gives Riz the ability to channel?
This ability, in the way that it is outwardly expressed, is a surrender to his sensitivity.
Is that a form of gentleness? Is that the same thing? Or is it more in the keenness of the senses?
You are correct in expanding upon the understanding. To transmit information in scientific terms, you have learned how to use certain metals to create your antennas. You have learned to use the elements to create circuitry, to transmit frequency. All of you are antennas. When you surrender to what your antenna is, you will succeed. And you have many antennas. Your practices, your spiritual practices, are meant to hone your antennas, keep them clean, free of debris.
I notice the only way to achieve this is through grace, gratitude, and stillness, because it is the only way to really actually properly investigate the components of the inner world. This is what I see. In this, I request more information to expand so I may be a greater channel. Is there any advice you can give me to advance this area? Or is it merely trust?
Do you believe in one's own nature?
I believe in the oneness.
Do you believe that each individual has their own nature?
Yes.
Then that is what is meant by becoming what you are, is it not? To become what you are. How do you become that which you already are?
To feel more.
To surrender to that. To care to do that.
Let's understand. I understand.
You may develop any skill that you wish to a greater degree than you are currently experiencing. And while the passage of time may either be experienced in a positive or negative light, either with sadness or regret or understanding and a deepening sense of beauty, there is a current that is naturally within each and every one of you. You may call it trust. The evolution of the planet is the evolution spiritually, though the scientific community, as they like to call themselves in such arrogance, feel they are moral and that their efforts are to uplift humanity. And in that expression they feel is their caring, but they will not say love, for they see love as a human emotion, not as the reality of all that is. And that is why their technology is very limited. For as you are discovering, even our vehicles receive the feelings of the pilots, and are thought controlled. The radar systems, as you would call them, in our ships, traveling at the speeds they do, without colliding into space debris, are so sensitive and project energy receptors, you might call them, far, far ahead, to the sides, above and below of the ship, that collisions do not occur. To channel, one must extend their nervous system far and wide. When you stretch the body, as you often do, you can breathe more air into your physical bodies, yes? Think of your consciousness and your nervous system and your psychic senses the same way. You are breathing into a more expanded, rich, sensitive. And that is how, and that is what, is the principle of the vehicles that we have created. The vehicles that you will see are very small versions. They are all scout ships. Do you understand?
There's a mothership, I assume.
Many.
And they are very, very large and cloaked.
Cloaked.
And many, many hundreds, perhaps thousands of people or beings can be in those ships.
Millions.
Million. What is the percentage of quote-unquote alien hybrid beings that are walking among us?
With varying degrees of genetic material, as your ethnicities are the same, yes? You are wishing to know a percentage of those who have higher than 5 or 10%? Or are you questioning, wanting to know, are there any who are directly from an earthly parent and an extraterrestrial
The latter.
Not many.
Would it be known to them that they are?
Yes.
Okay. So this us in this room would have known if we were.
Yes.
What differences do they have from regular human?
If you were to look for it, that is highly tangible to sensitive people such as yourselves. They tend to keep to themselves. Again, there are not many walking amongst your society who are of that particular program.
Was Jesus?
The figure you refer to, as he is known to you, was not one person, but several.
Right.
This is true, as he was historically combined into one through storytelling. Many of the prophets, known and unknown, do have such lineage.
Will there be more?
There are, even in your time now.
Are they easily distinguishable?
The prophets of now, the prophetic ones, some are influential in their own communities and circles of only a few. Some are open channels through which events must occur. They do not know. Currently, you are encountering a point of great importance in the relations between the races in your country, therefore influential to the world. While on one hand there is great upheaval, distress, and pain in the communities of color, as you call them, this is creating great psychic energy to burst through layers of pain and fear. As you are seeing different races intermingling and creating families that are of mixed lineage. Therefore, that is a creation of love. That is what will powerfully lessen prejudice. And it shall take time. And so many in the public eye who are in this dramatic psychic experience of conflict, many of them are unaware that they have chosen a particular type of prophetic existence, which is to be part of experiences that stir change. But there shall be no religious prophets. There was a time for this. And all of the messages of these prophets, one may find, were to open oneself to love. And the rest of their teachings, much of them were political, many of their belief systems were catered towards a particular group. You see, the prophets did not come from all over the world. In the current religions, they came from a certain area of the world. And so, it was meant to reach a certain number of people. As time went on, as is the nature of information, to move forward and expand. And it is the nature of this planetary dimensional system and your choice to be here as a place of learning. You would experience these movements as such, where movements were meant to unite and ended in conflict. And the implosion of those belief systems is already occurring, for many are holding on to dear life for their religious beliefs. There is a franticness and a judgmental quality to the firmness in which they believe. Have you noticed?
Mm-hmm.
You do not feel a powerful love emanating from any of them, do you? Many of them do not believe in the intergalactic, universal, or interdimensional, or interplanetary family. Many would believe that if they were to discover that they are not alone, that these other civilizations must bow to their gods or be demons. And that is why many civilizations feel dislike for this planet and its inhabitants. Those who feel that do not understand oneness, though they are more technologically advanced and have less war, crime, and certainly no famine or poverty on their planets. The planets, my dear friend, there are civilizations who are not on one planet. You are Dante.
Mm-hmm.
But many planets as one civilization.
And is Earth heading there?
Yes.
Mm.
You and those like you must be here. There are many and many, many, many more who believe in love as you do. And it is for this reason, for the powerful vibration that it creates, if you wish to call it a protective field of energy, you may. Which is why you have not been overtaken. For it would be very simple were they were not your friends, for those on this planet, to be enslaved. We will not allow it, and we are not enemies with those who are not with us. Perhaps you need explanation here.
Different state of evolution, yes.
We have cosmically agreed to disagree, and many of them do not believe in harm, though, given permission, they would do more to this planet than they have been.
Are the praying mantises benevolent, friend or foe?
You might see them as a more scientifically minded civilization, yet their intelligence is based upon love.
They have visited quite a bit us.
There are some for free will is a reality. Some who have defected from their civilizations, for they began to be more in the scientific method and strayed and aligned themselves with other beings, using their scientific knowledge to further advance the experiments that have taken place on the planet.
Are they very advanced AIs, quote-unquote AIs, created?
You would have to ask yourself, what do you mean by that?
So, for instance, let's say in the next 100 years we make an AI with biotechnology that we can program to be self-programmable and to advance scientifically, and we can create them in any shape or form. So let's say we create them to look like a praying mantis. And now let's say, let's go 10,000 years in the future. So these beings now exist. Self-creating, self-determining, self-replicating, self-advancing. Are they from that stream of creation, or are they not?
Your understanding of artificiality currently is limited.
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
Yes, of course.
By what understanding are you agreeing?
Well, this is such a new technology to us, so we are in the infancy stage. All we can do is imagine and project what it would look like in our future with the beings that we are creating and programming. So I'm only going on projection of possibilities. Not any facts, obviously. So I don't know. I know this is probably too much for right now because it's about species creation, I think.
Your planet, for the last century, is dealing with the knowledge quite directly that they are not alone and are being watched, observed, interacted with, and patrolled. You must understand your current state of affairs. When your planet began to dabble in nuclear power, then it comes to the attention of those who are in your neighborhood for what you are doing affects others more than your current instrumentation can tell you. for those vibrations emanate into space. You see it as space, and we use your term of neighborhood. That fact in and of itself, if you were to let it be felt more deeply, would tell you how most see reality on this earth. That there is space, not that they are in a community.
Right.
Were there any attempts to stop the bombing of Japan?
Yes.
Those failed?
No. There would have been more.
Wow.
Russia was very pleased, and yet was very ready to counter towards this country, for they did not trust this country.
It feels like Russia, out of all the countries in the world, seems so separate and removed. It's like a different species. This is just what it feels like. They don't think along the same lines like everybody else. They want that, it seems. They don't want to connect. Like even Asian communities will still try to bridge or understand different cultures. But it feels like Russians are not wanting or interested in that. Is there anything about that culture that, is it a different species? Like we're all different species?
You are one species, but your origins are extraterrestrial. You were not formed from single-celled organisms from the depths of your ocean. While we are not in this communication to discuss the origins of your biology, your assumptions over the years are correct. That the main identifying groups of separate races do have separate extraterrestrial origin. It is why your languages are different. There are but a few basic languages that are from your extraterrestrial ancestry. The dialects and sub-languages were created by your own intelligence and need, and environmental differences where different tribal movements began. Language morphed, changed. It is a truth that is hidden from you by those who have their own position in society. For the phase, chapters of religion dominating your consciousness, and religion forming the basis of your political system or belief system or legal systems or moral codes, was necessary. Yet it was an introduction in this current modern age, as you call it, to having a system in general for a growing population, which will then, of course, encounter problems of control, manipulation by those who ascend in their weight in society, influence, and their perceptions of power.
Can you talk more about the beings that live inside the planet?
They are terrestrial, though you would see them as extraterrestrial. There are many entrances to the internal layers of the planet, as are in your moon and the moons of Jupiter. Which are highly populated. There are systems within those moons that are constructed to create environments and elements for the surface of those planets, for the beings who have chosen to migrate there. They are not native to those celestial bodies. What began as stations evolved into societies, civilizations, fully functioning within.
Are those moons constructed?
No.
Do our governments know about this?
Yes.
Has any of our...
They are not aware of all they have been told.
So there hasn't been any travel, flight, humans visiting?
Yes.
There has?
Yes. Many were taken in times that you refer to as ancient.
It was agreed upon by the ones taken?
Yes, for they were completely open to our existence. They were not tainted by your Abrahamic religions, Greek and onwards.
So Zeus and Poseidon all have extraterrestrial origins?
Yes,
Are they actual beings?
yes,
A single being or multiple beings?
multiple, some, and some leaders.
Last week, Hermes, Hermes, visited me for the first time. I had a difficult time trying to understand how to connect because I didn't understand the type of being.
As the stories of the families of the gods, as you call them, are conveyed through mythology, they are simply biographical data of more advanced civilizations. And the communities to which they have spoken to. In this case, the Greeks. This was the part of the world where they landed. It is why there is no Zeus in China.
Right.
But the Egyptians, they do kind of mimic Greek gods. Are they related?
The peoples in the modern history that you are referring to, which traded and interacted together, experienced the influence of these civilizations.
And they created their own?
To whom are you referring?
For instance, like Horus and Ra.
As you can see from certain scholarly research, that there are similarities with certain beings referenced by different civilizations that are different than the other.
Yeah.
Such as the Mesoamerican societies and the Egyptian, as well as the currently known as Syrian or Iraqi civilizations, have similar figures in their artwork, as you are aware. Some traveled. There are vehicles that are in the shapes of the pyramids. Not all vehicles are discs or cylinders. You have become so accustomed to seeing them in certain ways that it is a stretch of your mind to understand or to try to envision how that would travel through air. Yes?
The ones that have like a million beings on them that are here, do they have a home planet? Like, why are so many?
It becomes their planet. There are some interplanetary, intergalactic vehicles, as you call them. Let us give you an example. Imagine a lengthy piece of birchwood or driftwood. Let us say that it is 5 feet in length, a natural formation floating on the water. Let us say there is an asteroid or a rock, a natural formation of the celestial universe floating in space. All right? A civilization develops a technology to integrate within that rock ways to have propulsion and to create living space within it, and therefore it becomes a very stable vessel. One may call it a hybrid. Do you understand? There are billions of civilizations, not thousands, not millions.
My dad and Riz both have this very, very powerful desire to connect to alien beings and UFOs, and not everybody has that desire. And is that because those beings are trying to communicate to them and they're receiving that, or are they feeling an urge to connect? What is the intention fully behind this desire that's never ending?
It is an awareness, not a desire. The awareness is perceived as a desire, and yet it is already known. The desire itself is the natural inclination of wanting to feel and know more of anything. We speak to you in your language. In the moment, there is a translation happening within the system of the channel. On some level, he is doing it unknown to his earthly self, though there are other hands involved, all in agreement. And so the translation is instantaneous, though there are pauses due to technical issues, you might say.
There are times I see Riz as more than just one being. There's moments where I see just him, and then there's moments where I feel like there's a rotation. It's not multiple personalities, but it's like I don't think it's just one being inside of him. Sometimes it feels that way. Is that perception accurate, what I'm picking up on, or?
Yes.
So, is that the case for everybody, or the teachers in this room, or?
All of you may relay channeled messages. It is why you are in close contact with him, each and every one of you. It is how it is learned. All can be, all are as they are in their ownness. An educational transmission to know and to be with a channel, as if one were with a master painter. You will learn through osmosis by understanding the soul and emotional core of the being, learning on many different levels of interaction, rather than in lesson form. Do you understand?
Was Riz Red Eagle in that lifetime?
No.
Was
but they are from one oversoul, which is why the transition is so fluid with that one.
I may be speaking for everybody here, but I know I feel extremely close to Red Eagle, like I've known him or the beings for many millennia.
And you shall come to know him in his extraterrestrial form. He has been placed in a few civilizations to do his work, and is known in other civilizations by the cultural identity which would communicate to that society. Here it is your Native Americans. And you shall forever know him as such. And will come to know him in his more official uniform, all done in delight.
I would love that to be on my tombstone. Quote unquote, all done in delight. What a privilege to be able to say.
Some on your planet have in the past taken it upon themselves to venture into the internal societies of the earth.
Is Admiral Byrd a legit case of that?
Repeat it.
Admiral Byrd, he reported to go into the inner earth. Is that accurate?
It was not only that gentleman, though what he said was true. There are many that have not made it out alive. There is not but one civilization within the earth, in different parts of the earth where there are different entrances. Now you are referring to those who choose to live here, yes? there are those come scientifically with love, and the science is to spiritually assist. The technology that has been used to create your internet, to give voice to those who were voiceless, to bring from the smallest, most desolate communities or areas of your country, the internet has provided ways for them to be seen. And your social media applications, which have millions of participants, those have given opportunities for many to achieve recognition, whether it is for a moment or for longer, for their talents or lack thereof, to be showcased where they would not be seen, and would only be seen in a large metropolis such as New York or Los Angeles. The entertainment world was deemed to be those who were privileged, and only a few were allowed to be there. It had become a monolith and an empire that could not be shaken or broken by a more grassroots experience. Yet it has, and so entertainment has expanded. Those who were entertaining on the internet were influenced by television and films from large production companies, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Now those are influenced by those who are on the ground, yes?
Yeah.
And it shall continue to be such. One will not eliminate the other. Those who chose to live in very small cities or towns felt more seen and feel more seen. It is a part of self-expression. There will be many parts of it which are unappealing to you or very unappealing to you, and some which you receive with open arms. Such is the nature of expression on such a scale. Do not be at odds with it. You need not participate if you do not wish to, and you may regulate your participation in it if you wish to, in the way that you seem to be fit for your own peaceful well-being. The authorities of your planet have been in negotiation with certain races and have offered up many to be taken. We were not a part of that agreement, nor would we. Our connection to those on the planet who wish to communicate is psychic, and not done through government. We also relay information and guidance psychically to those who could move and activate energies to then further down the line create more peace. We also activate those who would be in conflict with those. The activation is done in agreement with the destiny each soul has chosen. We exemplify what family can be, supporting and activating and seeing the larger picture, as you all will do as a family together and in your own sub-families. For you, whom are aware so powerfully within your beings of the extraterrestrial reality, and we shall repeat that term so we are very clear, physically long for the appearance, if you wish to see us more clearly in physical terms, for the lights to be closer, it will come.
Do we ask for that, or it comes on its own?
When we refer to the vibration emotionally of your asking, it is not to come from a place that you may interpret as you deserving. It is not from there.
I was speaking from logistical. Is that something we asked for? To have you guys closer to us? Or is that something that you do on your own timing?
It is a combination of both. When they are aligned, it shall be. You will ask, and as the intention ripples out as a stone in a pond thrown, the energy will soften. rather than to be an urgent call of distress of which there is no reality.
Right. Does your civilization, do you offer healing, physical healing to the body energetically if one asks for it?
If it is in alignment with the purpose of the discomfort, we have learned how to channel that frequency.
I've never felt compelled to ask any guides for health assistance to heal the body, but I felt compelled to ask your group. I felt there was a connection that you guys would be able to do that.
When you come to learn the capabilities of these crystals,
Yeah, I've been working on my injury here.
as you can feel,
Right, it's already getting better.
there's a very powerful vortex in this room.
I never thought to use a crystal to repair an injury, but over the course of this hour, I have loosened all the muscles here and I feel repair happening already.
Remember that the crystals amplify frequencies. Everything is a frequency. When you understand this in very physical terms, your forms of fuel and energy on the planet will change. Your vehicles will change. You have not even scratched the surface.
You and me with this so like great.
You are doing frequency work. And you will be able to transmit healing to another. This is possible even now. You may send it at this moment. As energy, for example, there is Erica in her chair, and her spine is needing some assistance. It is in her mid-region of her spine, more on her left side.
Can we try to heal her right now?
Direct your energy through the crystal that is in the center of the floor.
Okay.
Do it with your mind. And just send it to her. Feel the crystal with the feelers in your mind, as if you were holding it with your being. Feel its temperature and let her receive it. Place your energetic hands on the fronts of her shoulders to stabilize her. She may begin to feel warmth in those areas of her body. And Erica, imagine your spine extending past, down the center and the backs of your legs, out through the backs of your ankles and through your middle toe, extending far, 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 a ribbon of light moving through the top of your head. And everyone just focus on that for her. As particles of light blur the line between the top of her hair and the space above it. Travel this light through her forehead, her sinuses, the roof of her mouth. Go in with a very soft and wide brush. Bring these particles of light through her, brightening in the chest area now and the spine. Allow all the soft energy of this cosmic brush move through all her organs and muscular structure. Now moving it through her lungs, her stomach, her cells, her organs down through her legs. Now hold her ankles with your etheric hands, letting your wrists and your hands become open channels for the energy. That there's great power coming through you, but without any effort from you. Take your index finger and press it into the space between her eyebrows. Now you have many hands. Hold her shoulders. Place one hand on the heart, one on each ear, one on her belly, her hips, her feet. Become one with the crystal, the optical calcite. Relax yourselves and breathe more towards her. You may see golden light at this point. Now, gently wash her aura and flash with light different colors around her, rapidly changing color and flashing, and slowly gradient shifts within the outline of flashing lights. The outline of her body, a thick line, flashing powerfully. The inside of the outline of the body, more in waves, soft gradient color, cosmic. Flashing very quickly around her, inside moving very slowly. Now shifting to the outline being very soft and the inside flashing very powerful. Now do this with yourself. Release it now and move your feet in circles. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Those in positions of power in your society are well aware that they are coming to a critical point in time. That point in time would be within your lifetimes, but certainly further beyond it. You are not at the end of your days, but you are in the ending chapters of this volume, and there is another volume to come. You are in the galactic family, as you call it, but you might say you are grounded and will not be allowed to harm the neighborhood. Any further questions?
Is this a training school for us to become guides? Or are we acclimating?
You might say it is training and missionary and as emissaries. Some will do it in a very obvious way, and some will do it in an obvious way but not mention that it has anything to do with extraterrestrial reality. Music is one way, channeling is another, though they are conveying oneness and the attunement of the soul. When you know this is your purpose, then everything that you do becomes more powerful. Anything, so you may be the builder of playthings, or you may become the plaything yourself, or you may be a scholar, or nothing that is known to the masses. You will have several of your own experiences with sightings and psychic communication. It will be only from those whom are friendly towards you. And if you wish to psychically peek into those who are not friendly towards you, even that is available to you, and we shall help you peek.
Riz has done that many times in his dream state.
We trust that this communication has been satisfying for you.
Thank you so much for coming.
We are your friends. May you know that you are ours.